Hey there, I am. Hey, everybody. Let's get the camera situated. All right, let me see who we got here so far. All right, we got Zini, we got Art Knight, we got Alan Drummond. Robert, hello. Dade, hello. Stitches, hello. As you can see, tonight is my merry festive holiday extravaganza. That is my official tinfoil hat, and I've got it decorated for Christmas tonight because I'm feeling festive. All right, we got some stuff to talk about, and we're already in the middle of a water change. So let's just get right into it, and we'll get the feedings commenced. I can take off my brain cooker here for the latter part of the live stream because you would not believe how warm an aluminum foil hat is until you've worn one. All right, let me squeeze past you here. And we're going to start by putting some food up inside the tower. We do have plenty to talk about with this tower. I've been making plans, but we're not going to be doing anything with it tonight for reasons I will explain. All right, we'll start with just putting some in the tower, and we'll see how many fish go up into it. And as the food falls down, a lot of fish will feed underneath of it. And once the fun's over, we can go ahead and just throw some flake food on the surface for the bigger fish that won't go up in there. I wish I could lower the camera down more and put you at a, eye height so you could look level across the pond. And as far as a pleco being stuck in a rock, do you mean like there's a crack in the rock, or like the rock has a shape that the pleco is like wriggled into and gotten stuck, or is it stuck like under next to a rock? Can you just move the rock and let it get free? Because I've had fish wriggle into like cracks in pieces of woodwork and stuff and never seen them again. Once they go into the woodwork, they never come back out. Loaches in particular like to bury themselves in things. Yeah, we might even get to see one of those big ass koi go up in there. I know we got the goldfish galore. That was my mom sending me a text. And I actually did listen to a little music tonight. If anybody wants to try to guess my music later, won't be too difficult, I wouldn't imagine. All right. No, it's a big rock with lots of caves. Alan, I'm not sure what to tell you about that other than maybe try to get it out. And by it, I mean, like, if you can pull like the rock with the fish and everything out where you can work on it a little more easily. Oh, look, there's one of the koi up inside the tower now. That's the one that went in there the first day I set it up, and he got freaked out and was like in a panic trying to get out of it. And I almost took it apart, and then he figured it out. So I still haven't seen any of the bigger koi go up into it. They'll get their nose up in there like they're doing now. But those two other koi, the ones with the yellow on them, the long fin ones, those are way too big to go in there. So, I mean, they could. Just I don't think they're going to. It's not like they wouldn't fit, but it would be they wouldn't have a lot of room to move around once they were in there. Well, I would be reluctant to try to use a hammer to crack the rock. Fish are really, really sensitive to pressure. And that's the reason we don't tap on fish tank glass, because it sends little pressure waves through the water. And that can be really disruptive to the fish. It can even injure them if it's a hard enough pressure wave. So I would imagine that if a fish is wedged in a rock and you're banging on the rock with a hammer, or hammer and chisel, or whatever you're trying to do, I can imagine that would be catastrophic to the fish in the rock. I would try to just wriggle it out as best I can. Don't yank on it. Maybe see if you can slide a butter knife down past it if its fins are getting, a lot of times the way the scales and stuff are, it doesn't want to move backwards, like a barbed sort of effect. If you can maybe use a flat edge or a piece of plastic to let the fish slide past that or something, just try to work it out if you can. If you could get like a screwdriver or something into the crack and like wedge it and twist it and crack the rock open that way, that might be okay. But I definitely wouldn't bang on the rock with a hammer or try to break it that way, through a concussive force. Yeah, I would agree that breaking the rock is probably the only way you're really going to get out of there. But again, I would be reluctant to do it with a hammer. Not sure how you could do it if you didn't have a way to get in there, because if the rock doesn't already have like a crack in it, or it's not soft rock, then even putting a screwdriver in or a crowbar or something and twisting might not do that much for you. So I don't really know what to tell you on that one. All right, we are going to keep moving around the room tonight. We are in the process of doing a water change on my discus tank. I'll get in there when the water gets a little lower. We'll get in and start wiping the glass down. And when we get down to a little bit more, I'll get in there and gravel vac it a little bit. Well, when I say gravel vac, I take for granted that you all understand what I mean, but there may be new viewers. I do not gravel vac in the sense that you would traditionally think about, like scrunching the plastic end down in. Like, I do superficial surface vacuuming. I'll suck the stuff off the top. I'll maybe disturb the surface of the substrate a little bit to help stir up some of the stuff that's gently down in the substrate. But I never scrunch down into the substrate. All that stuff that's down in there and is all decomposed. I know how satisfying it is when you're doing a gravel vac and you see all that black gunk and everything coming up out of there. But that black gunk in there is gold. I want that black gunk all down in my substrate. My plant roots feed on that. It's full of microbial life that helps keep the tank running properly. I do as little as I can to disturb my gravel once it's gotten established. So when I do quote gravel vac, I'm literally just using a gravel vac device to go over the surface and just suck up any loose stuff off the surface. And I think we will start out this evening's smokery with just a good old-fashioned bong hit. I also got another mushroom chocolate bar in the mail today, so in a few minutes I'm going to be eating some mushroom bar. So in about an hour, I should be having a good time. All right, I'm also going to turn this off for the moment. Perfect. It's just big enough to do all of it without choking myself to death. Hamilton, how are you this evening? And for anybody that doesn't already know, this is my mushroom chocolate bar. and it is awesome. I love these. I've decided I'm going to cancel my subscription for the syrup because that's expensive. But I'm going to let myself get one more delivery of it before I cancel it. And I don't think that's going to be till February is when the next delivery is scheduled. Every time I would go in there after I'd get some and I'd go through it, I'm supposed to get a delivery of 2 bottles once a month. And I would just go in and hit renew and it would send me, another 2 bottles. I assumed that meant that come the first of the month, I would still get my regular delivery. But apparently every time I like bumped it up and got another one in advance, they saw that as the next month's purchase. And so if I don't order more, then I won't get one next month. And I wound up ordering so many that I ran myself like 3 months in advance. And so when I stopped ordering the bottles specifically and just let them go back to coming on subscription, it's going to be like February before the subscription picks back up because I went so far ahead. So I'll let one more delivery come in and then I'll cancel that because I really don't need that added expense every month. And now I'm growing my own mushrooms. I don't really need it either. Cantina Band Bong. Nice. I don't know if I've ever seen a pearl scale fancy goldfish. I don't know if I've ever seen a pearl scale goldfish before, honestly. Um, the Blackmores are okay. Not a huge fan of them. I do like them, but I tend to prefer my goldfish to look like normal goldfish. I'm not a giant fan. I know you're looking at a tank with all 3 fancy type goldfish in there, but I'm more of a fan of a traditional bodied fish. I'm not a huge fan of all the weird shapes and goggle eyes and balloon bellies. And the only modification I really do like, and I will admit to it, is I do like the long finned fish. I think it's just elegant looking. Um, it's awesome to me. I love the long fin. I would buy long fin discus if they sold them. That would be fantastic. But alas, they do not. Steve, you made it. It's a good thing you didn't come out this afternoon. You'd have been stuck spending the night out here because I went out and looked at my porch about, I don't know, 2 hours ago, and my back porch is just a complete sheet of slick ass ice. It's that freezing rain's coming down where it comes down as water and then turns to ice once it hits. I don't mind sleet and snow and stuff. You can drive in that, but the stuff that just coats everything with that hard, clear ice is just fucking impossible to drive on unless you got like old school cleats on, ice tires. They're not even legal in Maryland. You can't even have cleats on your tires in Maryland. Chains would work. You could drive with chains on that kind of ice, but like nobody has chains on their tires. And so right now, Westminster is basically shut down. There were so many accidents on 140, apparently, the big main thoroughfare. It's like 4 lanes in both directions. Apparently, there were so many accidents and the ice is so bad that they just shut the whole road down. And again, just judging by what my back porch was like, if you tried to leave my house, you'd start down the hill on my driveway and you would just go like a bobsled right on out into the road, across the street and into my neighbor's yard. There'd be no possibility of steering or slowing down or anything. So you definitely made the right call by not coming out here. All right, let's get over here and get some wiping of this glass done before it gets too much later. Actually, where do I want to put you? Let's put you down this end. Watch your head. I tell you, every goddamn time we go through there, and you still bang your head into it every time. All right, let's have a look at that. We're going to do this. I'm going to use my melamine sponges in this tank. And we do have a flower bud in here, but it's not open yet. It's just the flower bud. And honestly, now that I'm looking around, I don't really see a bunch of crud and grunge on the bottom. So we're not even going to worry about getting in there and vacuuming. We're just going to do a water change and I'll get the glass wiped down. Don't have to do a whole lot down here because it's under so much darkness from the leaf cover. But I can see grunge all over the glass. you know, grunge on the glass doesn't only come from light on the glass. It's not all algae and cyanobacteria. Some of it is just biofilm and biogrowth. And so even if it doesn't get a lot of light on the glass, you'll still have areas that you need to wipe off. And of course, on the glass, I mean, you know, in the brightly lit areas, then you have all the growth and the algae and cyanobacteria and diatoms and every damn thing else that grows on that glass. But this will make it look a lot nicer. Yeah, and this doesn't even feel like algae, or it feels like that kind of algae that like really, really attaches to the glass. Might even want to get a razor blade out on this. Damn. Ouch. Yeah, I'm going to get a razor blade for this because it's not really coming out of there with the melamine. I bought this 100-pack of razor blades like shortly after I got started in the hobby, and I still have about 20 blades left. I just use a standard old single edge. Back in the day, we would have called these a blue blade, Gillette blue blade. But these aren't blue and they're not Gillette. Once upon a time, people used to use these to shave with. Well, maybe not exactly these. These are more utility than shaving. I think the shaving ones are a little sharper. Oh, yeah, that makes a difference. Watch out, little fishy. Don't want to scrape you. See, this end is all right. God damn it. I get cramps in my hands and my fingers lock into weird positions. And when I'm squeezing something or doing something really specific, like fine tune using my muscles, is usually when the cramps happen. It sucks. And I just got my hands stuck on the razor blade. I don't mean like stuck on the blade itself. I mean like stuck grabbing it. I couldn't let go of it. Nothing cleans up a glass like a razor blade, though. See what I mean? Like my finger is stuck in that position. I gotta physically push it out because it just locks down like that. It's fucking weird. I don't know why it does it. Probably part of getting older. Everything seems to be part of getting older. All right, fishies, here I come again. Man, it's dry up here. Much better. So with the glass all cleaned up and the big water change, getting all the tannins out, this tank is going to look sharp tonight. All right, I think we can call that good on the glass cleaning. Did I miss any spots? I guess I'll find out once I fill it back up. I think it's probably pretty good though. Well, we're definitely going to need to Windex this puppy when we're done with it. All right, let's get you to the next tank to be fed. And I just disposed of that razor blade. They're only single use as far as I'm concerned. If I'm going to do more than that tonight, I would use it more. But every time I've set one of them down, even if I dry it off, I swear when I come back to use it again, it's got rust on it. And as cheap as they are, it's easier just to use them like a one-time, use thing, and then I'm done with them. So let me turn the overhead light off. You're still going to get some glare from the discus tank. Let me put the lid down at least. That'll lighten it up a little bit. We're going to reverse the water flow here in a minute because it is getting down there pretty good at this point. And I'll get caught up on some comments here in a second. All right. Hey, Oblivion, how are you? Yeah, Steve, I don't think you're going to get a lot more than rain, maybe a little bit of mix down where you are. I'm way above the changeover line, though. I'm getting the worst of it. Yeah, getting old is definitely not for the lighthearted. Yeah, I always take potassium, calcium, iron, vitamin D. I take all those supplements. Banana cake. I do tend to notice more when it's been a while since I've had any, and I'll get like real muscle cramps, not just the weird things that happen in my fingers, but I'll actually get like cramps in my legs, and I'll go upstairs and I'll take a calcium, magnesium, potassium tablet, and the cramping tends to stop. So there is truth to that. That potassium is partially responsible. If you get cramps regularly, you might need more potassium, but I account for that because I know that. Let's have a look at the discus tank before I fill it back up so you can see, first of all, how low I let the water go, and also so you can just see what it looks like inside without any water in it, because it's very different looking. And I guess I should probably fill it up with a giant cloud of vapor, as is my tradition when I have a big empty tank like that. So let me get my giant vape over here. Pre-warm it with a few little puffs. All right, that's getting a little more like it. So I'm still going to let the water keep going so you can keep enjoying the fish you're looking at for a few minutes. Although they're kind of off camera, aren't they? I got you pointing at a funny angle. Orange juice actually has more potassium in it than bananas do. A lot of people think bananas are the ultimate potassium source, but they're not. They do have a lot of potassium. That's not wrong. But you will get more potassium out of a big glass of orange juice than you will out of eating a banana. All right, we got much lower water on one end of the tank than we do on the other end, and I will show you that as we go over there. If you'll notice down on this end, well, it's kind of hard for you to see, but the substrate is like the substrate comes up to here, and then the black plastic is all the way down here. So you've got a solid 2 inches of substrate over where the plastic is. Whereas if you come down to this end of the tank and look at it, you can see that by the time you get all the way down into this corner, you can actually see the plastic is above where the substrate is. And even right here, it's almost just barely level with it. And it gets deeper and deeper as we go to the other end of the tank. And so that's what the tank looks like with nothing in it. Very different looking. Big old working pile of lily pads. You can see right there is the lily pad flower. But it doesn't look quite as nice when there's no water in it, does it? All right, let's fill that puppy up with some clouds. It's different when I do it with the vape rather than the actual smoke. The vape goes away really fast. The smoke lingers longer. All right, let's get you back to the feeding. I will go get that water switched around. We'll start filling the tank back up. And I guess I should eat my damn chocolate bar pretty soon if I'm going to be eating my chocolate bar tonight. We're also going to come back and we're going to do a little bit of duckweed removal. You can see from down here, it's got basically a green curtain over the whole top of the tank. So you do that. Let me go get that water reversed, and then we'll come back and get some of that duckweed out of there so you can see into the tank when we feed it. But the water is the first thing I need to worry about. And when we get done feeding, I'll talk about the pond and the ideas I've had today. I actually went out to a couple different places. I went out to the restore that I had talked about the other night. Didn't find anything there, so we went to Lowe's. I did find something that I think I could make work, but when I got home and was looking at it and sort of doing some test experimenting with it, I found out it was probably going to wind up being more complicated than I wanted it to be to do it that way. And every time I thought about it, another problem would arise, and then I'd think of a solution for that problem, and it got another layer of complication on it. And so I stopped and I tried to just rethink about the basics of what I really needed, and I came up with a solution. At least I think it's going to be a much better solution. So we will talk about that too. This is so much duckweed in here tonight. Good Lord. That's going to cover the surface of the water eventually. So no need to give the goldfish any additional food tonight, I don't think. That ought to do it for them. That'll be gone by the morning. Goldfish absolutely destroy duckweed, koi included, any kind of goldfish as far as I know. I've never tried it with my fancy goldfish. I don't want them eating stuff off the surface because I don't want them gobbling any air. All right, let's throw some vibrobites in there. Don't need a whole lot because there's not too many fish in this tank. They're fairly small. Let's see. Are potatoes high in potassium? I know they make sweet potato pie, but sweet potatoes aren't potatoes. Sweet potatoes are yams. We call them sweet potatoes for some reason. Well, I was just getting ready to say there is a caveat, or I should explain more when I talk about the goldfish feeding from the surface. Fish have something that I'm assuming, from an evolutionary point of view, is what is now our eustachian tubes, the tubes that drain from our ears down into our throats and everything. We also have tubes that drain from our eyeballs and drain to the back of our throats. If you ever taken eye drops and then you get like a bitter taste in your mouth a little while later, that's why. It's literally the eye drops dripping into the back of your throat. Um, so fish have a similar tube, but it goes from their mouth, like the back of their throat, and it goes to their swim bladder. And the fancy goldfish are much, much more compacted bodies. They're all squished up as compared to a standard size and shaped goldfish that's got a longer, more extended body. So the length of that tube in a standard goldfish is long enough that air doesn't get forced into their swim bladder as easily unless they want it to. Whereas with the fancy goldfish, they're so short and compacted just by feeding at the surface and gulping air, they can actually inadvertently force air down that tube into their swim bladder, and then you get, buoyant goldfish that float. And I've had swim bladder issues with fish over the years, and on the occasions that it's been a swollen swim bladder, like where the fish floats, I've never had one survive for very long at all after that. On the other hand, I've had a lot of fish that have had bad swim bladders where they couldn't float, and they had to either lay on the bottom or swim, continually to stay in the water column. I've had fish do that for years and stay alive. But once a fish starts floating, I've never had a successful recovery from that. So I've read that. I've never had that personal experience, but it sounds like it makes sense to me. And so just to be on the safe side, overabundance of caution, I've never fed my goldfish, surface type food. I always feed them water column food. I've also never had a problem with swim bladder issues with them either. So, um, hey, Stefan, by the way, hello. How are you this evening? If you're having nipping problems with live bears, that's not that unusual. It's usually the guppies that are the nippers. You can try having more live bears in the tank with them. I know that sounds counterproductive. I don't know how many you have, but I assume you don't have a lot. If there's more live bears in there, and again, be cautious how you mix males and females, unless you want a lot more live bears. But having more of their own kind in there will give them more to interact with. On the other hand, if they turn out to be fin nippers too, you might be making the problem worse by adding more of them in there. I've only ever really had problems with the guppies being the fin nipping fish, not the swordtails or platies or mollies or anything. So I don't know if you've got a lot of hiding places or if it's a well planted tank, but having more places for the fish to hide, including the live bears, give the live bears a greater sense of security, and give the angelfish a place to go to just kind of be out of sight, some bushes to lurk in, some big rock to get behind, just something that'll put them out of the sight of the other ones. And then, of course, worst case scenarios, you may have to separate them if the nipping continues, because you can cause injury to the fish and get secondary infections into the little bite wounds. You can get, bacterial infections or fungal infections. And so if it's continual behavior, you might have to, make an actual adjustment, i.e., like removing some of the fish or putting the angelfish in a different tank. All right, everybody, I am going to open up my delicious mushroom chocolate bar, and we're going to eat 5 squares tonight. And remember, this is their new extra strength, so it's 50% stronger than it used to be. So this will be the equivalent of eating 7.5 squares of the older style candy bar. And 7 to 8 was usually a pretty solid buzz for me. So I think this 5 with the new stronger should be a good measure to go by. Wow, this is the first candy bar that's actually showed up fully intact. Not a single crack or nothing. All right, everybody, there's my 5 squares of chocolate. I'm going to nummy them up. And it's 8:30 now, so within the hour, I should be in a lot better mood. Now, I think eating the whole bar would be too much. That would be 3 times the dose I'm taking right now. It's 15 squares in a bar. I once drank like a third of a bottle of my syrup, which would have probably been the equivalent to like 3/4 of a bar. And I thought that was a little too much. I didn't have a bad experience necessarily. It was just more than I wanted, more than I needed. Maybe if I'd have done that on a nice summer day out in the backyard or something, it would have been all right. But a third of a bottle just to sit down in my basement and watch Doctor Who, it was a bit much. That's really good chocolate too. It's dangerously good. It's the kind of chocolate, if anybody didn't know what it was, got a hold of it, they'd go, they eat that whole damn bar just thinking it's a chocolate bar. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. It reminds me of Cadbury more than any other kind of chocolate. It just has that smooth, creamy flavor and texture. Remember, it's not milk chocolate, it's chocolate milk flavored chocolate. So it's even like milkier than regular milk chocolate. It's got like a really creamy taste to it. And it is delish. Rabbit eggs. Yeah. Leave one sitting on the desk. We'll tell my, I'll do a New Year's Eve show no matter what day of the week it falls. I'll do a New Year's Eve show and I'll tell my annual story of how I inadvertently dosed an entire staff of a fish store with some really, really powerful marijuana cookies. So I know a lot of you have heard that story several times, but if you've not heard that story before and you want to, tune in on New Year's Eve and I'll regale you with my tales of oops, lesson learned. We won't be doing that again. I've actually got a shit ton of stuff to make more cookies out of. So, Steve, if you're interested, let me know. I'll whip up a batch of cookie dough for you. I'm hoping we can get together this weekend because I can't proceed with my tank plans until I actually have the physical tank in my possession. I need to actually have it to install it. I can't just start building something based on what I think the dimensions are. I can't. I just don't function that way. I need to be able to have it here and make the little hangers and all that and fit them to it to make sure they fit. So I know what I want to do and how I'm going to do it, and we'll go over that tonight a little bit and talk about it. But I actually need the physical tank here before I can move forward. So if I can get it this weekend, we can work on it Sunday night. We can work on building a new fish tower, a new and improved, I might add, fish tower. No, they'd have to eat a whole lot of cookies for that to make an impact. Well, at a senior center, you don't have to even hide the bodies. You just let them, put the expired sign on the doors of everybody's cabins. You're good to go. All right, I'm gonna do another bong hit while I wait for the tank to keep filling. Gotta let the fishies feed for a minute. We'll move on to the next tank. Oh, you know what I should have done before I threw that razor blade away? I should have cleaned off the glass in the damn goldfish tank too, but I'm not rooting through the trash to find a razor blade. That doesn't sound like a good idea on any level. All right, where are we? No, we're still in the same place. That discus in there just looks so amazing, and it just keeps getting more amazing. It's still got a long way to go before it's full grown, but presumably it'll get as big as my other discus. And if that's the case, then it is going to be amazing when it gets bigger. It's already amazing if you look at it up close. Again, I know that you can only see so much on camera, but you see that up close in person, and it is just fabulous. It is so gorgeous with all the blue, crazy colors in it. It's got way more than just orange and white when you look at it up close. I guess a lot of the blue comes through on the camera, especially on its anal fin. It really has a lot of blue in the anal fin. I was thinking about something I wanted to talk about tonight. I don't know what it was now. It was not fish keeping related. It was like, I don't even remember what it was now. Something I probably shouldn't waste my time talking about on my live streams because I could have probably just watched my number drop by 15 people if I started. It's one of those kind of things. So it's probably best for everybody if I don't remember it. All right, let us move on to the next tank. And we're still about 3/4 of the way full on that tank, but it already looks completely different as far as clearing up and being able to see into it. So we'll try to stretch this out a little bit. I'll get that finished before we feed it. And I'll give you guys a few minutes to look at it before I mar the scene with my presence. All right, and as usual, if you pay attention to the bottom portion of the tank, you will see my striated bodia down there swimming around doing their thing. The only fish I have that swim in the water column are that angelfish and that little red blue Colombian tetra that you can see. All the other fish are loaches on the bottom, and then I do have one clown pleco on the bottom as well. And you might get a glimpse of the clown pleco. You never know. It's not out of the question. All right, I got enough for 2 more little bong hits, and then I think we'll put the bong away for the night. And then I got some dabs I can do for later. All right, one left, and I'm going to just go ahead and do that now since I'm standing here. All right. I also have a bowl in here packed up with super silver haze and soaked in hash oil. It's actually got more hash oil in it than it does weed at this point. All right, we can move on to the next tank. And we got time to wait while we're waiting for the other tank to fill up, so we may as well look at this one, even though there's very little to see in it. But I do have two of those orange discus in this tank, too. They usually hide most of the time, even when I'm feeding them. It'll be rare to see one actually come out. But I did see the one last night came out to the glass when I was feeding it. Although, almost like knew it was feeding time and was coming out to eat like fish normally do. But these discus are just, I don't know if it's the minnows in the tank that are too boisterous and scare them, but they're really shy. They never come out. Of course, this is also the tank that I use as my operating station. I keep the food on top of it. My computer sits on top of it. I stack stuff on it. I plug my camera in after the live streams and set it on top of this tank. And so this tank, it's the one I walk right past when I walk in the room. So it is possible that they're stressed out for other reasons. Yeah, I got three of those orange ones, Zini, and they were all three in this tank originally, but the two started bullying the one, and so I moved the bullied one into my 55, and that one now looks better than the two that are still in this tank. It's considerably larger. The ones in this tank don't look bad, but they're really skittish and they're not growing as fast as the other one is. And honestly, I don't even see them at all right now. Oh, I can see one of them hiding down there. I can see both of them hiding down there. They are buried underneath of this. This is a big piece of wood, and it's got some anubias growing on it, and it's like up and over. It's almost like a cave of tangle of wood underneath of there, and they're both kind of half lying on their side, tucked up underneath of that, like they're hiding for their lives. So again, they're just more stressed out than they should be. I guess the first thing we should do, I've been talking about this for 60 years now, but getting those minnows out of the tank, I think, will be the first step, and we'll see if that doesn't make an improvement. And then worst case scenario, I can get the discus out of this tank, and I don't know exactly where I'd put them just yet. I had considered originally I was going to put them in my my other 125 with the silver dollars, because I think like they'd stack up together and they'd all sort of school together, and seeing that orange reflecting off of the silver of the other fish as it moved around them, I just think would be amazing. So that's a possibility. I may pull these out, but part of me just really thinks that putting two bright orange discus in that tank that's all sort of either earth tones or silvery, it's all sort of neutral kind of stuff in there. There's nothing that really stands out and pops. Even my cichlid that's in there, Mr. Fabulous, has like blue, and it's not the same as this bright vibrant. It would literally like be putting a traffic cone in the tank or something. I just think they'd look really, really out of place, and so I'm loath to do that. But if I have to, then I guess I have to. So far I haven't had to. At least I haven't felt like I had to anyway. No, I got three orange ones plus that awesome angelfish. So if you saw the angelfish that was in with the other orange discus in the 55 we were looking at a few minutes ago, that angelfish and the three discus all came from as gifts from one of my viewers. So we'll turn that light off and we'll just go ahead and move on. We're still plenty of filling left to go in that tank, but we can have a look at No Face here. And if you remind me, I'll this is for the power head that's in the discus tank right now. I leave it hanging over the edge like that so I don't forget it. But if I think about it, when we're done looking at this tank and still waiting on the 125, we'll go and have a look at the shrimp tank, because that's really clearing up nicely. I knew the sponge filter would make all the difference in the world, and it certainly seems to be doing so. Yeah, memories are not Memories are not trustworthy. I always say that. I never ever trust my own memory. Like, I mean, I obviously do because I have to function and I trust that I remember I need to pick up some milk at the fucking grocery store and that kind of stuff. But like, if I was ever in a situation where like testimony or like if I was in court, or I would just make it 100% clear, like, I'm not going to swear to any damn thing because I just do not trust my memory enough to have it, to this kind of scrutiny. If it's, remembering whether I wore a blue shirt or a black shirt yesterday, if I remember that wrong, there's no consequences. Who cares? But I do not rely on memory when it's, consequences, especially if those consequences are going to be happening to somebody other than myself. I did laugh. I sent Zini a GIF right before we went live. Hey, Nick. And it's a classic. It actually happened long before there was anything such as GIFs and memes and whatnot. Although the term meme was invented by Carl Sagan back in the 1970s. We've just sort of adopted it for computer language now, but memes have been around forever, and they got named as memes in the 70s by Carl Sagan, of all people, believe it or not. But it was the classic one of Bill O'Reilly saying, "Fuck it, we'll do it live." I don't know if you've seen the meme, or better yet, if you've seen the actual footage that comes from. It's just a tiny little clip, and it's one of the greatest TV moments ever. It was off, it was in during the commercial, so we didn't get to see it, but it got released later. Somebody leaked it, and it was Charlie. He was supposed to be doing an ad read, and it was for some newfangled thing, and he's an older dude, and like he didn't understand what it was saying, and I can't remember the details of it, but it was like the name of something, but the name of it sounded like an activity or something, so the sentence didn't make sense to him, and he kept trying to read it, and it kept coming out wrong, and they kept correcting him, and he just lost his shit. They were running out of time because they had to go back to the live show, and like he was just getting so angry that he didn't understand what this fucking sentence meant. And that's when he's like, "Fuck it, we'll do it live. God, fuck it, we're just going to do it live." And then he did this real angry live ad read. He had a total fucking meltdown because he could not figure out what that damn sentence meant. So if you ever see that meme, "Fuck it, we'll do it live," that's what that actually comes from. Classic television moment. All right, let's go have a look at this shrimp tank. First of all, we can have a look at this shrimp tank. I already fed this one earlier. I need to get in there soon and remove some of that Java moss, but we got lots of shrimp in here. But this is the one I'm most happy with. We actually got in here on Wednesday night during my members only live stream, and we pulled some plants out of there to make it a little more easy to see into it. So you can actually start to see into the tank a little bit now. You can see there's some woodwork in the back. I know there's a lot of glare on this tank, but there's a zillion shrimp in here. They're just everywhere. Got some good frog bit growing on the surface again. Got my natural filter, a little bit of crushed coral to add some minerals, and then it's just the Java moss there, filters anything out of it. You can see I got that nice big piece of wood back there. And finally, you can actually start to see into this tank a little bit. We're not there yet. It's not 100% clear, but I said it would take a couple weeks, and so far we're right on schedule. Let me do this real quick too. I'll grab my tongs. Watch all the. Let me try to block some of the, so you can see in there a little better. You see the shrimp just scattering everywhere. There's so many in there. It's amazing. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And you know what? While we're still waiting for this to get finished filling, let's go ahead and get the glass cleaned on the goldfish tank. And then that way Sunday we will be able to work on the pond feature. Provided I get in touch with Steve this weekend. Hopefully we'll be able to, but if not, we'll do it some other time. It's one of those expressions I try not to use, is there's always tomorrow, because, you know, that's one day that's not going to be true. Like everybody experiences last day. For every single person on earth, there will be a day where there won't always be tomorrow. All right, we're going to use a melamine sponge on this one too. I swear this tank feels like ice water. I know it's got to be at least room temperature, so it's, you know, low 70s probably, but it feels friggin' freezing. I keep my other tanks, the ones that have heaters in them, I usually keep them in the upper 70s. Even my discus tank, it's in the extreme upper 70s. It's like 79.5. But even my discus tank stays under 80 degrees. But this is just an unheated tank, and so it's, you know, room temperature. I'll stick my thermometer gun on it real quick and see what the temperature in this tank is. I'm going to say like 72, but it just feels so chilly on my hands. All right, we got about 2 inches left on the filling. And got my heat gun. Well, it's not a heat gun, it's a thermometer. 72.5. 72.5 and 72.6. So we're going to call it 72.5. Just like I said it would probably be, because that's about room temperature down here right now. All right, let me bring you back. I guess we can point you at the discus tank while we're waiting for it to finish filling up. We're going to go the long way so I don't have to climb over my stool and duck your head and all that kind of stuff. We just have to dodge all the filters and pothos plant on this side. All right, we made it. You're back successfully. So we'll let that finish get filling up. Look how clear that looks. Good grief. It's ridiculous. Doesn't even look like my tank. One thing we can do while we're waiting, I want to pull the filter intake off and get any gunk or anything cleaned out of that, because I noticed I was getting some air bubbles in my intake, or in the filter, canister filter, was getting some air bubbles in it. Usually that happens when the intake starts getting clogged up with roots and stuff, and I can feel the roots all over. I got Java fern growing down here, and the long, stringy, brown hair-like roots just grow and get sucked up into that filter, and so that's what I'm pulling out of it. It's actually not very much in there clogging it up at all, so I don't know where I was getting the air suction from, or why I was getting air bubbles developing in my filter. It's actually got some little bits of Java fern growing on it. Those are little rootlet little babies, so I'll throw that in the tank in the other room and let them keep growing. If anybody's looking for any Java fern right now, I do have some, and I'll even throw that little bit in there with it. But I've still got some Java fern and crypt left over from when I did some removal the other day out of both this tank and the little shrimp tank. So I got crypt and I got Java fern available if anybody's looking for it. I may even have a red tiger lotus available right now if somebody is interested in that. Oh, did you just see that shrimp darting across the tank? That was one of the many shrimp that are still in here. I'm surprised at how many I still find in there. I can see one down in the tiger lotus right now. Let's see, do we see any more? There's one just drifting through the water column. Can't believe he hasn't been a snack yet. How is the friggin'... Oh, let's see if he gets sucked into the power. Oh, the power head's not turned on right now. How in the world could the rainbow fish not gobble that little shrimp up that's swimming around I mean, they're going after that one, but they just left that little one swimming through the water column slowly like that without gobbling him up. Oh, you see him back there? He's still doing it, just drifting around. All the way in the back corner of the tank by the filter. I mean, by the heater. Oh, there's another one right there. There's one in the back swimming around. Look at them all. I told you, this tank has a lot of shrimp in it for the kinds of fish that are in here. It's surprising that there's so damn many. I like these live bears too. I like the blue in them. It's just amazing there's so many shrimp in this tank with the way the predators and whatnot are. But there you go. You just saw a bunch of them randomly all over the place. If we really looked around in all the nooks and crannies, you'd probably find a lot more than that. All right, I think we're just about filled. I'm going to turn the filter on while we're standing here looking at it. Shake it a couple times, make sure I get all the air bubbles out of it. It's got a lot of air bubbles in it. Unfortunately, it's going to make the water all fucking cloudy. But I got to do it because I got to get the bubbles out. Every time I shake it, I stir it up more and put more crud into the tank. But it's still got air bubbles in it. Some more baby. This is some Java Windelov. Here's some more Java Windelov. It's actually growing attached to the spray bar. And we're just about done filling up. Give it like one more half minute and then we'll be ready. Since my basement floor is my basement floor, everything is slightly angled towards the end of the basement where the drain is. And since this tank is just sitting on a stand that's on the floor, none of my tanks are level. And so even though this side was clearly well up to the black rim, if you looked all the way at the other end, there's still like a 1/4 inch gap to go before you can not see the line between the water and the black plastic anymore. So I like to get it above that. But I got to be careful because when I get above that, this end is getting really close to filled. So we're going to call it good right there. All right, let's get that hose put away. Just started feeling a little funny when I was in at the sink. I was like, what the hell is that all about? And then I remembered I ate those mushrooms, so they might be starting to come onto me already. That was fast. All right, perfect timing too, because now I don't have to worry about overflowing or underfilling or anything else. We're done. All right, let's talk about the pond before I settle down. And we'll give that tank a little time to clear up, even though it's probably not going to be clear before the night's over. So we can just turn the overhead light on for this. We don't need to turn the pond back on necessarily. So right now I've got this round fish tower, but I've decided I'm going to make it into a square one. And Steve has a 6-gallon rimless tank, which is going to be the absolute perfect size for it. It's 16 inches by 8.5, and then I think it's like 10 inches tall or something. So it won't stick up so high and be so sort of visually obtrusive. We're also going to tuck it in over here, right against the wall between the waterfall and my peace lily here. We can do something with the peace lily if it's still in the way. That way you'll still get a nice clear open look at the tank, but we can just come right over here and you can see the gap over there is where it's going to fill in. And so it'll be much less visually out of place as this big tower just kind of standing there like that. So I'm looking forward to that. And what I decided I was going to do, I went out to the Lowe's today and I got 4 of these. Which, if you put the long end up, that hole is exactly where I want it to be. That's 15 inches from the base to the hole. And if I set 2 of them like that, and then run a metal wire, you know, a metal bar through the 2 holes, and then I have, you know, since I got 4 of them, I can do 2 of them. And then the tank could just sit down on top of the 2 metal bars going across. But once I got them and I set them down, I put the bars in place. Like, these are really wobbly and, you know, there's nothing to connect the 2 together. And so I thought about mounting these to something, but I would still need to mount all 4 of them to the same thing. So I would now need something that had a 16 by 10 footprint. It's got to be really thin because we're already at the right height. I can't put it up on a piece of wood because that's going to make me an inch too tall. And so I was thinking about a piece of acrylic, and then I was thinking of how would I attach it to the acrylic because I don't want to drill holes in it and have screws. And I was thinking of silicone, and eventually I just, you know, again, I just decided it was getting too complicated. And so I started just thinking about the basics of what I actually need to function. And the idea occurred to me that what I could do is use little hooks instead of a bar going across them and just hook the corners of the tank on all 4 corners. And once I'd realized that, I realized what I can do is just make a wire frame that goes over the wood and down into the tank and then just has a little lip sticking up, and I can just hook the edge of the tank on that. And then on the inside here, all I would need was 1 piece of PVC to just like prop up like a single leg out here to keep the tank from tipping into the pond. And then this edge would hold all the weight on the little rack I could build. And then it would be almost nothing underneath of it, just 1 little pole. So it wouldn't impede with the fish. Like, this is, you know, the bucket that this thing's sitting on takes up all kind of space. It's stuff for the fish to have to swim around. It really impedes their motion. It's stuff for them to crash into. And so by having a simple PVC pipe in there, it'll reduce all that. So it'll also be up tight against the wall, so it'll look more like part of the tank rather than this sort of freestanding thing in the middle. And again, it'll just be as unobtrusive as possible over off to that side over there, and will still give us the full open area of the tank. And so I think that's what we're going to do. I think that's my game plan as of yet. So once I get the tank and have, you know, something I can physically work with, I'll start bending some wire and making a rack, you know, like a little hanging bracket. And then once I've got it in situ, I can take a piece of PVC and cut it to the right height, etc. So that is the game plan moving forward. The next step is just getting the physical tank in my hands, and then we can start working on it. All right, we got all that done in an hour. Nice. So I am ready to sit down. Eugene, is that you, Eugene? Because your name looks different, or is this a different Eugene? All right, let me see where I was back here. I'm making my way around there in a minute. I got to figure out if I'm missing anything or forgetting anything. Yes, I'm going to get my iced tea. All right, get our light turned on. And I think tonight we can even turn some disco lights on since it's a mushroom night. Oh, yep. Should have wiped the seat down before I sat on it because it was all wet. All right, Nick. I'm not sure if I said hello already, but hello, Nick. Shh. Shirley, I said hello. Let's see. Hey. All right. Your live stream, Shirley, always coincides with my nap time. That's why I usually miss your live streams, because I'm asleep. Last Saturday, I woke up. I saw that it was starting right before I dozed off. And then when I woke up, you guys were still going. So I joined in. Thank you, Dade. So hello, Eugene. Not sure if you're my regular Eugene, as I said, but I'll say hello anyway. Doing it at 5. Well, 5 o'clock is my nap time. Anywhere between like 4:30 and 6 is usually my nap time. Well, I assumed it was Eugene, but you never know. The name definitely looks different. So, all right, everybody, what do we got to talk about tonight? Oh, I don't take a nap because I can't stay awake. I take a nap because I enjoy taking naps.